Hello and welcome to Cannes Lions 2015, and we are in the SMG Gardens, I suppose you'd call it, out the front of the majestic hotel just on the Croisette. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Iain Jacob, President EMEA at Starcom MediaVest Group. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Alex. How are you?
I'm good. I'm enjoying it. My first Cannes, but I think you've done a few more.
I've done a few. They always get better.
How are you finding the event this year? I mean, how do you feel it's changed from previous years?
It's changing, and it's changing fast. It's changed again this year. I mean, my big observation is that what were previously kind of, if you like, ingredients to Cannes, things like ad tech and the like, are now actually fundamental. Yeah. They've actually moved to the centre stage. Yeah. They are fundamental. You have to understand them, you have to work with them to understand how you're going to transform marketing and how you're going to become a proper data-driven marketeer, which all marketers need to become.
No,
so
absolutely.
I think I feel the realisation is here for the clients here and of course for the agencies. Yeah. So good, it's changed again.
Yeah, and they've visibly changed in terms of, some of the companies, the yachts on display, some of the big parties that are happening. It's not just the preserve of a clique of agencies perhaps that it was maybe 10 years ago?
Oh, 10 years ago it was absolutely a clique. I mean, it wasn't just the agency, it was a kind of creative agency clique. So it was a very small world. And I think, now what we're seeing is a much bigger world. And you're getting there just a host of different types of people. It's where creative people meet technology people, meet smart commercial people. That's where interesting stuff happens. That's the kind of intersection that I think gets built here. And of course, most of Cannes, as you know, happens in the conversations, and most of Cannes happens in the links. And I think that's what we're seeing here. So the more diversity that you have at Cannes, I think the better.
And what are some of those conversations around them? You mentioned there the science, the technology meets creativity piece seems to be something that's recurring, for instance.
Well, I think the whole data and tech thing a year ago was just in the wrong place, if I can say that. It was very functional. The conversation was always about programmatic as a point of view of trading, rather than using data and real human insights to drive interesting brand ideas that are going to change behaviours. And I think we're now seeing the emergence of that proper conversation coming into play. And it's no surprise, it's the maturing of a kind of new business, in my view. And we're starting to see some maturity, which is great. And I think we'll start to get much stronger work ultimately for it, which is what counts.
Yeah, absolutely. What are the aims for the agency when you come to an event like this and in general over the year? What message are you trying to put out there?
Well, we're not just on broadcast. We're here to learn. We all live busy lives, and Cannes busy, but actually it's the opportunity to step back and make some new connections and actually think about stuff a little bit more than you get the chance to often in your day job. So that's important. We do want to give the message out that we are investing behind getting to the future first. That's absolutely key to us. It's key to the Publicis Group, and SMG as a lead brand within the Publicis Group, it's absolutely critical to us. So the sort of things I mean by that is, we are the first media company to invest and buy a DSP business in Run. So that's kind of, if you will, really investing in the future rather than just talking about it. So we're taking clear action. So this week, actually, we announced the acquisition of a company in Germany called ACOM 360. Yeah. Again, it's another statement of intent about transformation and how we intend to reinvent or help marketeers reinvent how they connect with people.
Yeah. And it seems such a hugely busy time in terms of structures changing, approaches changing within the agency to programmatic, that is now an integral part of what you do at Starcom MediaVest Group. And how do you keep on top of I suppose, the central ethos that you want to maintain the agency when so much is changing?
Well, by getting back to core principles, actually. It's about people and how you engage with those people. So the programmatic, you mentioned programmatic, actually. The purpose behind integrating programmatic expertise into the brand agency, rather than it being a sort of trading silo over in the right-hand corner, is absolutely that, because programmatic isn't just about rules-based media buying, it's actually about driving real insight and using that insight. So that's why we've integrated it. So I think today, if you're going to be a leader in this business as an individual or a company, you've got to be flexible. Speed is absolutely the competitive advantage. there's a lot of conversations going on in Cannes which sound similar. You know, the data, the content, the ad tech conversation often sounds similar. The actual competitive advantage isn't in being able to talk about it, it's how quickly you can bring it to market.
Yeah.
And that's the real test of a company these days. Speed, speed, speed.
And there is a huge amount of work happening at the moment around the industry. There's perhaps never been seen before so many media pitches at one particular time. And do you feel like that we are going through a bit of a transitional phase, that at the end of it we may emerge a new landscape with agencies that have perhaps prepared for this future coming out stronger?
You know what? There won't be an end to it. That's the good news or the bad news, depending on your point of view. I think it's good news. The transformation is going to continue. I mean, some of the pitching that we're seeing at the moment, and there's a lot of it, particularly in America, some of that pitching at the moment is simply cyclical. Some of those relationships have been there for a long time, much longer than the average agency tenure of, say, 3 to 5 years. Some of those relationships are much longer if you actually look under the skin and get into it. But more broadly, there's absolutely a seriousness with which clients are now taking their partnership to help them on this transformation. 3 or 4 years ago, you didn't have to be quite so seriously necessarily. You could actually think, well, I'm developing digital over here and that'll be fine as long as my mainstream business is going fine. That world has changed. We're in the post-digital era. And clients know you've got to join the whole piece up. There's one consumer, one retail customer. How you're joining up the conversation with them is the critical thing. Yeah. So they're now all challenging how that's done, all of them.
Yeah, and agency relationships with their clients is ultimately what it comes down to, and I'm sure you're seeing a lot of them out here, and you're seeing them obviously very regularly. How is that dynamic changing as, you know, the pace of technology changes, the increases in innovations and new kind of cool things, toys and gadgets come to the market?
Yeah. Well, I think, again, it comes back to the relationship will be driven by what you deliver, ultimately. I mean, that's the key component. So the rhetoric runs out after a very short while these days. And so you've absolutely got to make sure you're delivering on being able to lead clients into the future. So that's why that's our total focus. And it's less about the latest widget, if you will. It's more about how you are helping them track into the future and how you're driving that. There's another key element, which is trust, you know, and that's a key human element to driving client relationships. And I think agencies need to be very aware and conscious of how they preserve and build trust with clients, which means being in the position where they can be objective, trusted advisors.
Yeah. Moving forward, 12 months' time, hopefully we'll be back here another gorgeous day in the south of France. What do you hope will be the discussion, how the discussion might have evolved over the preceding 12 months? Is there anything in particular that you've got on your hit list?
Yeah, I think there will be less talk actually about the detail of the technology, and less talk about I think the big data thing's kind of going away in terms of a language, because that is literally, as I said at the beginning, an ingredient to do the powerful work. And you have to get your head round that and understand that, I think, if you're going to be an important player going forward. So I'd like to think that we've probably moved a little bit, we'll move beyond that, and out will be coming the stronger and stronger case histories that show how a data-driven marketeer is actually creating real cultural change for people and for brands. That's what I would like to see.
Okay, well, let's hope so. And thank you very much for your time.
See you next year.
Really appreciate it, and hopefully see you next year.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.